Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be showing you how I made my sister's birthday cake without a mixer. Stay tuned. So the next thing I did was to add sugar to the butter. The full ingredient list and measurements will be in the description box below. So I mixed the butter and the cream because my aim is to get a pale yellow consistency. This is going to take a lot of time because I don't have a mixer. So I just kept mixing. As you can see, the color and consistency are getting lighter. So what I used here is just the regular Tony sticks that we use in our homes. So I just kept mixing. So at this point, I added the eggs. I had about 6 eggs to add, so I went in with one egg at a time. Adding the eggs will actually make it much easier to mix. So I added the eggs one at a time. So as you can see, the color is lighter and it's actually of a lighter consistency now. So the next thing I did was to add my vanilla extract, and it's just for the vanilla flavor, and I mixed together so it's be well combined. So at this point I added my already sifted flour, baking powder and baking soda, and I went with half of the contents that I needed. So I continued to mix until the flour was well incorporated into the mixture. Then at this point, I was about to add my milk. I was supposed to use a cup of milk, so I added half of it. So I added half of the cup of milk first. And then I just mixed together. Then I went with the other half of the flour, baking powder, and baking soda, and I mixed together. So I added the remaining half of the milk and I mixed together. So this is the consistency I want, and I want three different flavors. So this is the base, which is the vanilla flavor. So I would be putting this in a pan and baking first before separating the other flavors. So the next thing I did was to grease my baking pan with butter so the cake wouldn't stick and it would be easy to remove. So I just went ahead to add a little butter to my baking pan and spread it around the base and the body. So this is me putting the quantity of the vanilla cake or the vanilla butter into the baking pan, and after that I just had to shake it to make sure it was leveled, and I went ahead to hit it on the floor to make sure there was no air bubbles in it, and then I put it in the oven and allowed it to bake. Also, my oven had been preheating for quite some minutes, for about 20 minutes. So I separated the remaining into two different bowls. Then I added my cocoa powder for the chocolate cake and I mixed to make sure it was well incorporated. So after it was well incorporated, I set aside and moved on to the red velvet cake. So to the red velvet cake, I added my cocoa powder and also mixed to make sure the cocoa powder was well incorporated, and then I added my red coloring. I mixed the red coloring in a little quantity of water and added to the mixture. So this is the red coloring after I had mixed it in a little bit of water. So I added the red color into the mixture and I started to mix gradually until the color was fully incorporated into it. Then I rinsed the leftover in the cup, just with a tiny little bit of water and mixed. And then I went ahead to bake both the chocolate cake and the red velvet cake. And then after baking, I allowed it cool down and I did the icing the following day. So this is day one. So this is day two and it's time to make the frosting. So I'm making a buttercream frosting. So I add my butter in bowl already and I'll bring my icing sugar, your confectionery sugar. I have 1 kg here. So I added a little bit of the icing sugar and then I went ahead to mix with the butter gradually. No, you're not using a mixer, so it has to be gradual. So as I got a better consistency, I added more of the icing sugar and went ahead to mix. So I continued mixing. So I make sure to go in with the icing sugar bit by bit. So I went ahead the same process of adding the icing sugar bit by bit and mixing. Bit by bit and mixing till I exhausted the icing sugar. So I added a little bit of milk to soften it and make it easier to mix. I made sure to add the milk bit by bit so I wouldn't add too much. And when I got the consistency I needed, I didn't need to finish all of the milk. So this is the consistency that I needed. As you can see, it is no more yellow in color. It is more of white, and it was no longer hard. I think you should have a closer look here. Can you see? So moving on to the layering of the cake. This is the vanilla layer. So I added a little bit of frosting on it before I went ahead to add the next layer. So I just did that for all of the layers. In between the layers, I had frosting in between. So that was just what I did for the layers. So after layering the cakes, the next thing I did was a crumb coat. A crumb coat is basically just to keep the cakes in place and also to keep the crumbles in place so it wouldn't affect your frosting. So it's usually a very very thin layer. It doesn't have to be smooth. It doesn't have to look nice. It's just a very very thin layer of frosting around the cake. So I did for the top and every angle, like throughout the cake, and it's just slightly, as you can see, it's a very very thin layer and it's not even looking nice. So it does not have to look nice. It doesn't have to be smooth. So this is me still doing the crumb coating. I had a pretty tall layer of cake, so it took a little bit of my time. I made sure to cover every angle, like every angle. So after I was done with the crumb coating, I moved on to the frosting proper, and I made sure to take not a little amount, but not little or not much of the frosting, and I started to spread it out. I tried to make it as smooth as I could get, and that was just what I did. And as I did not have a cake smoother, I just tried to make sure it was as smooth as it could get. So after I was done with the top, I moved on to the sides, and I still made sure to get it as smooth as it could get. And okay, I forgot to mention what I was using. I was using a palette knife here. And if you actually have a cake smoother, it makes your job easier. After using a palette knife, just using cake smoother to smoothen the parts. But then I didn't have, so I have to be very careful with my knife. So after I was done with the first thing, I actually took out time to smoothen it as much as I could, really, because I just needed it to be smooth, and I didn't have a cake smoother, so I had to take my time to smoothen it as much as I could with my palette knife. And so that was what I did. Okay, it was time for the decoration. So I add my blue color here and I added a little bit of water to mix it up. So I transferred it into a portion of the frosting that I had set out, and I mixed it to make sure it was well combined. So I folded my piping bag into a cup and I put the frosting in it, and then I made sure the frosting went down to the tip of the nozzle. Then I gently started to pipe it around the base of the cake. I was being careful so the sizes would not differ. So I decided to make the design here bigger, so I just added more pressure. And that's it. I made my sister's birthday cake without a mixer. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.